Hello and welcome to another Successful Garden Design Show episode. In this episode we're going to look at how you incorporate the natural landscape into your garden design. If you're frustrated your garden doesn't look as beautiful as it could, even though you've purchased lots of lovely plants, then help is at hand. Plants are not enough. You have to have a good design layout. And when you combine design with the beauty of plants, that's when the magic really happens. It's our mission here at Successful Garden Design to show you how to do it, and it's much easier than you may think. I'm Rachel Mathews and I've been a professional international garden designer for over 25 years, and I teach garden design online. So I'm here at the Harold Porter Botanical Garden in the Western Cape in South Africa in Betty's Bay. Now, whilst botanical gardens aren't exactly known for their design layout, it's more to showcase the plants that they have in the area. There's still a lot that you can learn, because what they do here really well is incorporate this stunning landscape beyond into the planting. So let me give you a tour and explain exactly how you do it. And if you haven't got mountains, don't worry, you don't need a mountain. It's whatever landscape you have beyond. The tips I'm going to show you will work regardless of whatever landscape you want to incorporate into your garden. So in this episode I'm going to go into more depth than I normally do in a garden design show. So there's only going to be time to cover the first two, which is copy and contrast. And I'll tell you about how you can get access to the third part of this as part of an upcoming brand new series, which I'll tell you about at the end of this show. So let's get on with the first one, copy. Now, as that probably sounds, you borrow from the landscape beyond you. Now that can be natural or it can be architecture, anything like that. So how do you do it? Well, you need to look at the colours, shapes, textures and materials in particular, because these will enable you to tie your view outside of your garden into your actual garden. So let's look at some examples of how you do that. So you can see the stone that is in the mountain beyond. That's actually been used, or a very similar one, has been used for stepping stones in this marshy part of the garden. But it's not just the physical materials, it's also the planting, which can really impact how you tie in with your natural landscape. So if we look at these grasses here, for example, sort of the mound-like shape is very much like the mound of the view beyond. So if I just quickly Photoshop them, you can kind of see that the shapes tie in. Now this is a very, very subtle way of tying it in, but your mind is always looking for similarities. And this one I spotted on my way home from the Harold Porter Garden. The trees are mimicking almost the shape of them, the mountains beyond. Now that was a fluke of nature on this occasion, but if you actively think about how you're tying in with the natural landscape beyond, then you've got more control and power over the unity that you feel in your garden. And I noticed this even more profoundly when I went back to Kirstenbosch a month after my initial visit. Now, a lot of the flowers had changed, but still, if we look at the shapes of the bushes themselves, rather than just focusing on the flowers, you can see their zigzaggy outline is looking a lot like the mountains behind. Now, of course, not everybody is lucky to have spectacular mountains, but if you're in a countryside where there's rolling hills, using hummocky kind of planting, like shown here, that kind of does mimic that shape. So it's all about shape, colour and texture and variety, and trying to tie in with whatever landscape you've got beyond. So even if you're in a very urban environment, you can use materials and colours which match whatever you've got around you. So for example, if we look at the large pieces of timber that are used in these arches, now they've been painted black to tie in with the barn here, but equally that would work in an urban garden with sort of skyscrapers beyond, like this example. Or if these large pieces of upright timber had been painted orange, for example, to match this particular building, then that would have tied in with the architecture and colour. You could create shutters if you've got a wall, the same colour as the house, or a hidden gate somewhere, whatever colours you've got around you. So the key to doing this successfully is really being observant to what is around you. So if we look at this garden here with the original, it had this awful path in, and then we go to this design, you might think, well, where did those shapes come from? But if you look really closely, they were picked out of the architecture of this house. So take a look look at the window above the conservatory and you can see the exact shape mimicked in the lawn there, and the topiary there match the top round window. So that's copying taken care of, but also it can be equally effective to contrast with what your existing landscape has beyond. So for example, if we look at these spiky flowers and foliage of the Watsonias in comparison to the mountain, they stand out because they're a completely different shape and colour than anything around it. So having these very defined shapes brings them forward, like these marsh butterfly lilies here. It contrasts so much with the natural landscape that it really helps things stand out. And having something so different shape and colour wise to the surrounding landscapes is a very neat trick for really making the garden pop and come together with interest. So again, we're paying particular interest to the shape of things. So the trees in the camphor walk at the Kirstenbosch Botanical Garden, they're very different shapes from anything surrounding them, although the canopies do look quite cloud-like when they're together. So something that is really contrasting really stands out from the landscape beyond. But to be really effective, this does need to be used in conjunction with the copying, the mimicry of what's beyond, and then you can hit it with something that's a completely different shape and colour, and it's the blend of the compare and contrast that makes this work so well. So our third method is clearance. Now this is going to take a lot more explaining because it's the most technical of the three. So that's going to be covered in a new in-depth design details subscription that's going to be coming out late spring, early summer in 2019. So I'll give you more information on that once the series is ready, and I'll be looking for your suggestions on what topics you'd like me to cover. But basically every month I will do a deep dive into different topics of your choosing and also critique any design ideas that you've come up with that you need a second opinion on. But in the meantime, if you'd like to get some free training, there's some in-depth web classes that are available for you to view on small gardens, any size garden and professional garden design. So head on over to successfulgardendesign.com/free classes and choose which web class you'd like to attend. So I hope you found this episode inspiring, and to celebrate being here, there is a discount of all our garden design courses for 1 week. So head on over to successfulgardendesign.com/Cape Town. Until next time, take care.